Hello and welcome to another edition of Eye on Port. It's supported by the Star Assurance, the Royal Bank, Ghana Community Network Services and UT Logistics. This week, the security agencies in this country have vowed to make the ports of Ghana the safest within the West African sub-region. Another set of stowaway people have been nabbed by the Port Authority security as well as the immigration, the police service and all of them. 7 Nigerians that were planning to stow away from the port of Lagos all the way to Johannesburg have been arrested here at the port of Tema. In fact, it's very interesting because when those stowaways were arrested, they actually confessed that they thought they were going all the way to Johannesburg. They didn't know they were landing in Accra. Very interesting. Take a listen.
Hey, my friend, that fine face you
The Ghana Port Security have apprehended 7 Nigerians who attempted to stow away to seek greener pastures in South Africa. They were found in the hatch of a Chinese vessel which was entering the port of Tema from Nigeria. The arrest comes at a time the port management had tightened its security measures to ensure that the port of the country becomes an attractive to stowaways, pirates and other criminal activities. A port security intelligence officer, NIGERIan, explained how the stowaways were nabbed.
We had an information that we have a stowaway on board, and our men have to come to board to see to the situation. We are sounding a very good caution to the public. They were not coming from Tema Port, but they were coming from Nigeria seeking greener pastures. We are telling the general public that Tema Port is not safe for stowaways. We are alert and we are on our course. Anyone at all found will be dealt with appropriately.
The captain of the vessel commended the Port Authority and Ghana Immigration Service for their efficiency in combating sea crime.
Thank you for your good cooperation with the Tema Port Authority. Tema's agent, my agent, make hard effort for this matter, and also the immigration and my P&I club, all people at this matter do their best job.
The culprit would be sent to the Nigerian High Commission for further action. Around the same period last year, 8 people who attempted to stow away from the Tema Harbour were arrested by the port security. Late last year, 8 Nigerian pirates were also nabbed by the port security. The managers of the security of the port hint that they will not leave any stone unturned to secure Ghana's port and make it the most secured in the sub-region. Well, so the Port Authority, the security agencies in the country, they have vowed that they are never going to allow sea crime to thrive on the shores or the coast of the Republic of Ghana. And the ports of Ghana is going to be the safest according to all the efforts they are putting in place. Let's now hit the port of Takoradi because, like I've always been saying, a lot of things are happening at the port of Takoradi. The place is thriving. A lot of businesses, a lot of vessels going in and coming out of that port, regardless of the overwhelming expansion works that's going on at the port of Takoradi. The port of Takoradi, as part of efforts to increase its efficiency, has introduced innovative ways of doing business at the port besides the magnificent expansion works going on there. One of such innovations is the bulk loading of manganese at the anchorage of the port through a transshipment activity.
So the port, in its collaborative spirit, decided to ensure that maximum manganese is shipped out of the port. Contacted Ghana Manganese together with this private company from the Netherlands to do this transshipment of manganese outside the port, that's at the anchorage. So what happens is that there is a shuttle vessel called the Jill that comes to the port, loads to and come to offload into the Gdansk, as you can see over there. The Gdansk has a capacity of about 100,000. So the Jill does the shuttle, it offloads into the Gdansk, which is like a floating storage facility. Then bigger vessels like you see one, the blue one, comes in, then loads up to about 100,000 tons. So you might think in the port that a lot of activities might not going on, but when you come to the anchorage, you see that through the innovative and collaborative ideas of the port, together with its stakeholders, a lot is going on at the anchorage.
Peter Bediako, Acting Marketing and Public Relations Manager of the Port of Takoradi, took the Iron Port team closer to the manganese transshipment activity at the anchorage of the port, demonstrating that the port is even more active now in the midst of the expansion work than presumed. It was also revealed that the Takoradi port now exports greater amount of manganese at a cheaper cost than before as a result of the transshipment innovation introduced by the port.
Manganese export through the port has now increased. Last year, for example, it had jumped from 1.2 million tons the previous year to 2 million tons. And this year, we think that vessel manganese exports through the port is going to increase.
The management of Takoradi Port also intends to increase export of bauxite from 800,000 metric tons to 3 million metric tons through an impending joint project soon to be rolled out.
Bauxite, for example, they have plans of increasing their export from 800 metric tons on an annual basis, 800,000 metric tons to about 3 million. That's the plan. So management has also been discussing with them to see how best we can support them to ensure that they increase their exports through the port.
Well, so in the subsequent editions of Iron Port, we're going to focus a lot of attention on the port of Takoradi. We'll be hearing from Peter Bediako as well as Captain Afedi. We'll be hearing from Captain Owusu Kranting and all the folks running the port of Takoradi. Coming up next, some concerns about abandoned containers within the port. A lot of containers. We have been serializing some of them in the past week. A lot of containers, some of them refrigerated containers. They've all been abandoned within the port. You have no idea. Some of the content of these containers are very useful and it can be very useful for the entire country. Yet, those who imported them have decided to let them stay in the port, waste electricity, incur a lot of cost and also take a lot of revenue out of state. Few months ago, there were a lot of public outcry about congestion in the port, both at the operational areas and the container depot areas. The Port Authority worked extra hard to dredge most of the berths for vessels that hitherto could not use certain berths. It also invested in cranes that are able to lift a lot more cargo from vessels 10 times more than it used to do just about under 3 years ago. These interventions have drastically reduced the amount of time vessels have to wait in the sea before discharging cargo and turning around. Periods spent by importers to assess cargo has also shortened drastically. But a disturbing trend is emerging as containers full of cargo continue to be abandoned by people who import them into the country due to a number of reasons, leading to congestion in the port.
Some importers import the cargo, they have not done their background checks very well as pertaining to duties and other things, and they come in only to realize that this is how much they should pay, and then eventually they have to go back, look for money to come and pay the duties, and then they delay, and it's over 21 days and then it's gone on UCL.
So they bring the cargo into the country and realize that they don't have sufficient funds to clear them. If you don't pay the duty, you will not be allowed to clear the cargo outside the port. So eventually they end up abandoning the cargo and the cargo ends up being here.
Currently, a number of frozen and dry items have been abandoned in containers for several months and years by importers without clearing them.
The Port Authority could be using this space for something more profitable to the country. But here we are. Some of these containers here have been here for about 2 years, 3 years.
Here are the River Container Yard, which house all refrigerated containers with frozen items. Some cargoes have been abandoned for about 3 years.
We have about 33 containers, 33 40-footer containers of such uncleared products.
Anytime we have our river containers that should be plugged to electricity, they are left in our terminal in the port, and the electricity bills that are accumulated on it are paid by the port.
Similarly, at the Atlas terminal, where customs keep all uncleared cargo, some items have remained here for several years.
So all these containers located here all over the place are all unclaimed cargoes that people have imported into the country.
Anytime cargo, whether frozen or dry, stays in the port for more than 21 days without being cleared by the owner, it is released to customs, who then sends it to the state-bonded warehouse or the Atlas terminal for subsequent auctioning.
If it's containers and it is 21 days and the cargo has not been cleared, then it becomes an unclaimed cargo according to the customs regime.
As a port, what basically we're doing is managing space and then, logistics, etc. So if a consignee drops a box and then the box have to sit in the port beyond the stipulated period that they have to clear, then it means that, it's really compromising or trying to push us into an arena that will not help the growth of the port.
Port authorities say the situation is creating congestion, increasing the cost of operating in the port and denying the state of revenue.
Our interest is in the space that is available to us in the port to turn around a lot of containers so we can make good revenue.
Apart from cost to the port authority, cost to the organizations that imported those items. So I will say financial loss to the state. People must equally be diligent and must attach seriousness also to their responsibilities. Sometimes goods are imported by state agencies and the goods remain in the port for years.
Esther Jebidonko, the manager for the Golden Jubilee terminal of the Port of Tema, revealed that from January to July this year, about 1,400 unclaimed containers have been declared uncleared by importers from GJT alone.
Not to talk about the numbers that are coming from Terminal 1 and the numbers that are coming from MPS Terminal. All have to be transferred here by the Port Authority, and it's putting a stress on our spaces in the port to work with our equipments to transfer them here and our equipments to be located here to work on them.
A number of reasons are often cited for this disturbing phenomenon.
Some will tell you they don't have money to pay for the huge demurrages that are accrued at the shipping line level, and for that matter they are not able to clear it within the specified 21 days.
People tend to think that once the goods they are bringing into the country are donations from various NGOs for orphanages and other groups like that, when they arrive here, they will not be made to pay duties. But that is a wrong notion.
The public and importers are particularly being urged to understand the proper ways of going about documentations before all their imported items arrive in the port.
We want to advise the importers to take their time to research on especially the duties that they have to pay on some of these cargoes before they come in.
Sometimes they go out, they find the items, they're very cheap, and they decide to bring them in. They bring them, they find it difficult to get market for those goods. So we advise that before you bring the goods, make sure you have ready market for them before you bring them.
The Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders has a website. Just Google, enter into their website. You will get a list of people who are accredited by customs to transact business as clearing and forwarding agents, as customs brokers, as consolidators. And if you go through them, you will save yourself a lot of difficulty.
Some are banned cargoes, and then because they don't have knowledge or the awareness is not there, they import them into the country only to be taken over by customs.
You must also get a storage facility, you see, because once you clear the cargo from here, it must also go into a cold store to sustain the condition of the cargo.
So we actually entreat the customers to really give us the necessary, that positive input for us to serve them well.
Importers should therefore contact customs or the port authority even before their consignment arrive in the country to prevent their inability to clear them when they arrive. The Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Tema Port Division, are also not happy at all about a lot of items that have been imported and abandoned at the state-bonded warehouse. Take a listen. Conducting Iron Port ran the state warehouse in the port. It was revealed that several items have been left at the mercy of heat in this large but enclosed warehouse. Most of the items have been abandoned, gathering dust, and in some cases ruining.
The state warehouse in customs parlance, we say is a prison for goods. So it means that any item, any consignment which has infringed on the laws of customs or the state will have to be sent to the state warehouse.
At the state warehouse, one can find all manner of items that have been either seized, abandoned, or classified under what is called in port terms as uncleared cargo list of items, UCLs.
We have a lot of reasons why we have most of these things not cleared from the port. One could be poor communication or wrong addresses. If you are not able to get the correct contact of the consignee, the shipping line might be contacting the wrong person or may not even get a chance to talk to the right person and then inform him that his consignment has arrived in the port.
Some of these unclaimed items include canned foods, TV sets, used mattresses and fridges, hospital beds and supplies, children's seats, paints, floor tiles, sofa chairs, bicycles, motorbikes, tires, and even games.
Most people do not know exactly what must go into the clearance of a particular consignment. So they import the goods into the country only to realize that these are banned goods, or maybe these are goods which will require some form of documentation, some form of certification.
According to customs, these items end up in the warehouse as a result of varying reasons. Most of the canned foods and these hand sanitizers, as well as medical supplies, were seized by customs because they arrived in Ghana expired, hence unwholesome for the market. Some, like these educational materials, including books, were meant for charity, but did not follow due processes and subsequently abandoned.
You think that, oh, these are charitable items, these are duty-free items. So you import them into the country before you even ask of how you can clear it. If you don't take care, they will come to the port and they will get stuck.
Others also could not make the right duties and payments on the goods, hence abandoned them.
The major factor is financial problems. You import and you are not able to establish how much you are going to spend in the clearing of these goods. Definitely, you have no option than to leave the goods.
But the situation is not all that gloomy for owners of these seized items. According to customs, 30 days after your items are seized for any reason, hence sent to the state warehouse, you can still come to customs with a legitimate reason and claim your items.
You can only have a restoration of it when you apply to the commissioner and you have the necessary documents or permits which should be able to allow you to have them.
Customs say the reason they auction these items is that there are no spaces to keep all these items in cars for owners who have abandoned them sometimes for 2 years and more, just because they have no money to pay the right duties on the goods.
A lot of goods are here, there are no owners. Those ones that we can even identify the owners, you call, I'll come tomorrow next, and they will never come.
Customs and the Port Authority are therefore pleading with the general public to make sure they inquire about every item they intend to import, know the right monies to be paid on them, the requisite documentations and processes to follow, and the right agent or freight forwarder before importing any item in order to avoid inconveniences in clearing goods from the port. Well, we continue to make a lot of appeals to all these institutions that have abandoned their containers in the port to please come, take your containers and go make good use of the content, because if you take the Ministry of Health containers, for instance, they contain theater beds, equipment here and there, and they are not coming for them. Yet there are hospitals in this country, a lot of them, that need some of these equipment. The police administration, the police hospital, for instance, has made a lot of appeals requesting for support. Yet all these items are sitting in the port and nobody is coming to clear them.
I've got no need to worry. I've got no room for doubt. No matter what's coming at me, you'll always be the beautiful I sing about. There ain't no limitations to your amazing grace. And there's something about the way your love shines on my face. Oh no, I can never get enough of you.
Star Assurance, creating smiles since 1985. Let go. Let's celebrate 30 years of solid partnership. Star Assurance, your solid partner.
I'll take care of you.
There's a place in my heart that makes me feel that you're the one. It's a place I wanna be, 'cause satisfaction guaranteed. From strength to strength you help me grow, 'cause you're there for me. And teach me how to be independent, 'cause you
The Royal Bank.
The Royal Bank.
The Royal Bank.
Banking with transparency, commitment to integrity.
Royal Bank.
The Royal Bank. The Royal Bank.
The Royal Bank. Real banking, real difference.
UT Logistics have come to stay. When you approach a job like the way we approach it, each job is unique. Each client is unique. We provide the best service in the system. We have best staff. We are very fast. We are quick, and we save customers a lot of money.
Coming up next are some news and activities happening within the port and maritime industry. The Ghana Shippers Authority is calling for the revision of the Bill of Lading Act 42, which is based on the Hague Rules on Maritime and Shipping, to be changed to that of the Rotterdam Rules. According to the Chief Executive of the Ghana Shippers Authority, the existing Bill of Lading Act 42, which is based on the Hague Rule, is narrow-minded compared with the more expanded Rotterdam Rules on shipping.
It's quite clear that people want to sit in the comfort of their warehouses or their homes or wherever they are doing business and do a true transport arrangement. Now the Rotterdam Rules extend the period of responsibility of the carrier, and it's able to cover from the time of the receipt of the goods until the time when the goods are delivered.
Dr. Kofi Mbia cited an example where the current Hague Rule being used by Ghana in case of any dispute around the vessel at the place of discharge, say Ghana. The courts of the place of discharge have no powers to handle the case, but the Rotterdam Rule gives mandate to the courts at the place of discharge by the vessel to handle any form of dispute.
Under the current rules, if you have a case which you bring before the courts, the time for suit, the time limitation is 1 year. And sometimes, within that 1 year, you have not been able to trace who the carrier really is. Now, under the Rotterdam Rules, you have a period of 2 years within which you can bring an action.
He explained that the limitation of liabilities under the Rotterdam Rule is about 40% higher than that of the Hague Rule, and while the Hague Rule does not recognize goods on deck, that of Rotterdam does. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority is asking the owner or agent of a vessel called MV Lady Faith, which has been abandoned at the fishing harbour of the Port of Tema, to come and assume responsibility of the vessel or risk having the vessel sunk in the seas. According to the Port Authority, the vessel, MV Lady Faith, had been in the port for the past 5 years from 3rd January 2010 to date, and her agent and owner have failed to show up. The authority also reveals that the vessel has no required manning crew and is taking in water.
And as you can see now, it's full of these guys refer to them as junkies. They've turned it into their own home, and then the night they try to harass the market women around. That's the main reason why we're trying to get this vessel out of the port. At the moment, we see it's not seaworthy. It can never go to sea again.
The Port Authority believes the state of the vessel constitutes a substantial threat and danger to other ships around her and the entire fishing harbour.
It has occupied a space, vital space, that can be used for tying up other vessels coming to discharge fish. The longer it keeps here, the more it's limiting the capacity of the port to handle more fishing vessels.
If no agent or owner of the vessel shows up 7 days after this public announcement, the harbour master or the director of port could invoke the powers conferred on them under Section 25 Clause 1E of the GPHA Law 1986, PNDC Law 160, to remove the vessel MV Lady Faith from the fishing harbour. This is to prevent obstruction and high possibility of sinking since it has started taking in water, and also to allow visibility in navigation around the port area.
If we should leave the vessel here like that, it's going to sink. And when it sinks, we cannot use this wharf again.
Several notices by GPHA to the former agents of the vessel, MV Lady Faith, have fallen on deaf ears since the agent has failed to show up. The vessel is also occupying space and depriving Ghana of revenue, as the space could have been occupied by other vessels for a fee.
Every vessel in port has to pay harbour rent daily. And just imagine the number of years this vessel has been here without paying it, whereby you cannot even locate the agent or the owner of the vessel.
Final notifications will be made in the national dailies for a period of 7 days for interested parties to respond or lose the vessel. This is without prejudice to recover the cost of sinking the vessel from any person who may claim interest in the vessel thereafter.
I sing about. There ain't no limitations to your amazing grace, your amazing grace. And there's something about the way your love shines on my face. Oh no, I can never get enough of you.
Star Assurance, creating smiles since 1985. Let go. Let's celebrate 30 years of solid partnership. Star Assurance, your solid partner.
I'll take care of you.
Banking with transparency, commitment to integrity. The Royal Bank, the Royal Bank.
The Royal Bank, real banking, real difference.
We've all heard stories about ports, about difficulties and challenges at the port. We think that to bring transparency to the port is very important for both the end consumers and even the people, some of the agents who work within the port. This program is very, very critical, and I think everybody who is involved in the port, in businesses that has impact on the port one way or the other, should make it a point to view it.
Shadows of vessels sitting in the port, those at anchorage and those also expected for the coming week. On your screen next. Missing but found wallet. The management of the Port of Tema would like to bring to the attention of the general public a missing wallet containing an undisclosed sum of money which was found around the port area. The owner of the wallet should contact the port administration for identification and collection. He or she can also call the number scrolling beneath the screen. Well, folks, that's it for this week's edition of Eye on Port. In the coming week, like I have said already, we should be focusing a lot on the port of Takoradi because a lot is happening there, and folks, it's important we get you closer to the port of Takoradi. We'll let you see the innovations, the developments, the vessels going in and coming out of the port of Takoradi. Well, thanks to the crew. That's Robert Nyantechi, Godwin Kabute, Joe Lavo, also Solomon Anderson, assisted the production, and Paul Asariansan, the executive producer. I'll see you next time.